Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes and felt like they were really looking into your soul? Like they understood exactly how you were feeling, without a single word spoken? It's not your imagination. That deep stare your dog gives you, it's not random. It's emotional. It's biological. And it might even be one of the most powerful bonds between any two species on Earth. Today we're going to explore why dogs stare into your eyes, what that moment actually means, and why scientists believe it goes far beyond simple affection. Spoiler alert, it's not just about attention or treats, it's something much deeper. When your dog locks eyes with you, something incredible happens inside both your brains. Literally. Studies from Japan's Azabu University found that when dogs and their owners stare at each other, both experience a surge in oxytocin, often called the love hormone. This is the exact same hormone that bonds mothers to their babies. It's what helps humans feel love, trust, and connection. In other words, when you and your dog look at each other, your bodies react just like family. That's mind-blowing, right? This mutual gaze creates a feedback loop. The longer you look, the more oxytocin both of you produce, which strengthens your bond even more. It's like an invisible emotional handshake happening through eye contact. And what's even more fascinating is that this doesn't happen with wolves, even those raised by humans. In studies, wolves avoided direct eye contact with their caretakers, while dogs sought it out. That's one of the biggest clues that during domestication, dogs evolved to connect with humans emotionally through their eyes. So why did dogs develop this ability when their wild ancestors didn't? Scientists think it's a direct result of living alongside humans for thousands of years. In the wild, eye contact between animals, especially predators, can be a threat. Staring can mean aggression, dominance, or challenge, but dogs flipped that meaning completely. Over centuries of evolution and companionship, dogs learned that looking into a human's eyes can bring comfort, food, safety, and love. It's like they rewired the ancient stare equals threat rule into stare equals trust. This makes dogs one of the only species on the planet that uses eye contact with humans to build emotional bonds. Even chimpanzees, our closest relatives, don't do this the same way. Dogs read our faces like we read books, picking up micro expressions, emotional cues, and tiny shifts in our tone or mood. When your dog stares at you, they're not just looking, they're listening with their eyes. Now, before we all melt into a puddle of feelings, it's worth noting that not every stare means I love you. Sometimes a dog's stare has different meanings, and learning to read them is part of understanding their language. For example, dogs might stare at you when they want something, maybe food, a walk, or attention. It's their silent way of saying, "Hey human, you forgot the snacks." Other times, the stare can be a sign of focus or anticipation. Working dogs, like herding breeds or service dogs, often lock eyes when waiting for commands. That's a form of trust and teamwork, but not necessarily affection in the emotional sense. And in rare cases, prolonged eye contact can be a sign of challenge or discomfort, especially between unfamiliar dogs or in stressful situations. That's why reading context is so important. The difference between "I love you" and "back off" is all in the body language. Relaxed posture, wagging tail, soft eyes, that's love. Stiff body, tense mouth, and a fixed, unblinking stare, that's not affection, that's warning. So, yes, when your dog gazes softly into your eyes, it's deep. But when their body's rigid and eyes are hard, it's a totally different story. Dogs have mastered the art of communication without words, and eye contact is one of their favorite tools. When you think about it, dogs live in a world where they depend on humans for almost everything: food, safety, affection, play. So, they've learned to use their eyes to guide our behavior. Researchers call this referential communication. That's a fancy way of saying dogs look at us to point something out, kind of like how toddlers will look at their parents when they want help opening a toy. If you've ever noticed your dog looking at you, then at the treat jar, then back at you again. That's exactly what's happening. They're using their eyes to speak. And the wild part? Humans are incredibly good at reading it. We instinctively follow their gaze and understand what they want, even though we never trained for it. That's the level of connection we've built over thousands of years. We don't share a language, yet we understand each other's eyes perfectly. The communication goes both ways. Dogs don't just use eye contact, they decode it. Your dog can tell when you're happy, sad, angry, or anxious just by your eyes and facial expressions. In one 2016 study, dogs could correctly interpret human emotions based only on photos of our eyes and eyebrows. They knew the difference between happy eyes and angry eyes and reacted differently depending on what they saw. So, when you come home tired or stressed and your dog looks at you softly or rests their head on your lap, they're not just being cute. They're reading your emotional state, picking up on the smallest cues, and responding with empathy. In fact, some scientists now believe that dogs have developed a unique muscle above their eyes called the levator anguli oculi medialis. That helps them make that expressive puppy dog eyes look we find irresistible. This little muscle helps them mimic human sadness or longing expressions, triggering our nurturing instinct. Yep, your dog literally evolved to melt your heart with a look. Let's dig a little deeper into what's happening chemically and emotionally during that moment of shared gaze. When you look into your dog's eyes, your brain releases oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins, all associated with happiness, trust, and bonding. It's the same neurochemical cocktail that strengthens romantic relationships and parent-child bonds. For your dog, the same thing happens. Oxytocin levels rise, lowering stress and deepening attachment. This mutual reaction is so strong that it's often compared to cross-species empathy. Essentially, you and your dog form a feedback loop of comfort and connection through eye contact alone. That's why dogs who make more eye contact with their owners often score higher in attachment and trust tests. They're not just pets, they're emotional partners. And this eye-based bonding is one of the key reasons dogs are used in therapy and emotional support work. Their ability to connect through sight alone is something truly special. Here's something that'll make your heart warm. Studies have shown that just making eye contact with a dog can lower human blood pressure and cortisol, the stress hormone, within minutes. That's right. Simply gazing into those soft eyes can actually make you healthier. This is why therapy dogs are so effective in hospitals, nursing homes, and trauma centers. Their ability to make sustained, calm eye contact creates feelings of safety and emotional grounding. It's a silent connection that tells people you're not alone. And the beauty is, it's mutual. The dog benefits too. Therapy dogs show lower stress levels and stronger oxytocin spikes during sessions. It's a relationship of healing for both sides. So the next time your dog stares up at you while you're sad, know this: that gaze isn't random. It's their way of saying, I see you, I feel you, I'm here. Think about it. There's no other species on Earth that shares this kind of emotional, chemical, and behavioral bond with humans. Not cats, not horses, not even our closest primate relatives. Dogs are uniquely wired to love through their eyes. Over 30,000 years of evolution side by side with humans has shaped their brains, hormones, and instincts to sync with ours in ways we're only beginning to understand. And maybe that's the real reason dogs became man's best friend. Not just because we feed them, but because we share something no other species does: a silent, mutual language of trust. Out of all the animals on Earth, dogs are the only ones who use sustained, emotional eye contact to bond with humans. Even cats, who can love us dearly, tend to avoid long stares. Horses, birds, dolphins, None have the same emotional response tied to mutual gaze. Dogs are special. Thousands of years of shared living, working, and loving have literally reshaped their brains to sync with ours. That's why they seem to get us in ways no other species can. They don't just read our faces, they feel them. Your joy becomes their joy. Your sadness becomes their sadness. That's the power behind their eyes. So next time your dog stares deep into your eyes, don't look away. That moment isn't just cute, it's ancient. It's biology and love working together. It's the language of a friendship that's older than civilization itself. They're not just asking for food or attention. They're saying, you're my person. I trust you. It's a reminder that dogs don't need words to tell us how they feel. One look says it all. If you found this video interesting, give it a like, share it with another dog lover, and tell us in the comments. What's one unforgettable moment when your dog looked at you and you knew what they were thinking? Because honestly, those are the moments that make life with dogs truly magical.